Hello, and welcome to today's issue of Chapter by Chapter. I am your host, Will Cowan, and with me, like always, is Mr. Steve Haynes. Steve, how you doing today?
I'm Steve. I'm doing good.
You're good? You doing good?
I'm doing good. Wait, that's not good enough for you?
Well, I'm just wondering because, this chapter, my man,
Woo!
this is a roller coaster of emotions. This is everything that I was hoping for and more.
We got a doozy today, folks.
Oh my God! Like, where do you think we are in the book? Like, this is about page 270 something.
We're really close to halfway.
We're getting halfway, and this is like this chapter is basically like it's finally the real action that you kind of hope and crave for from a fantasy series.
I know, like this fight was crazy, and when Boromir died, I couldn't believe it. I mean, no, that's the wrong one.
I think we're reading the wrong book.
Hey, it was still a great battle.
So good. So I don't want to waste a second today. So I want to get into it. So the Caemlyn Road, chapter 18. Here we go. So we start off the chapter immediately picking up from our last chapter where they are fleeing from the Trollocs that just basically burned down Baerlon. They're like hot on their heels. Like we don't know how they found them, like the Trollocs and the Fade, but they found them. And now they're on the run.
And they saw that the pub was the Stag and Lion.
The Stag and Lion was lit on fire, which is like it's hard to find a good inn nowadays with people you trust, and burning that shit down.
And what's even harder to find is a good meat pie.
Yeah. Oh yeah, meat pies.
And good cheese and bread, and we know that they had them there.
Yeah. So they're on the road, and this kind of takes place in between. Like I think it's a couple of days. Like I've started to notice this kind of trend in fantasy novels where like action, they always take over a couple of days to kind of perform. So they're on the road for a little while, and the entire team here is getting tired. And they're getting frustrated, and they just don't want to be on the road right now. You got to imagine, like, these guys have been on the road for how many weeks now? It's got to be like 2 months.
It's been, 8 or 9 weeks.
Right?
Fatigue is heavy.
Yeah.
I mean, for the most part, these aren't adventurers. These aren't warriors. These are shitty townsfolk.
Yeah. Just kind of thrown into the circumstances. So,
save for a couple wizards and warriors here and there. Of course.
yeah, of course. But like the fatigue is setting in, and there's a great point in the book where like they're having dinner, and it's just cheese and bread again. And Egwene
cheese and bread is plentiful and delicious.
Yeah, but Egwene goes like, "I'm done. I am done with the cheese and bread. I am done with it."
I'm done with her, if I'm going to be honest, because hey, cheese and bread. What else do you need?
Look,
all right, for Egwene, clearly.
After my cheese and bread.
I don't want to get into it.
Well, I was going to say, like, it takes a lot for an Emmons Fielder to say no to cheese and bread. It's their bread.
They're legally not allowed to.
So it's lines in the sand are being drawn right now.
Lines in the bread.
Another thing that like in this beginning part of the chapter is Rand kind of like looking around at the surroundings that as they're going around on the Caemlyn Road, and he's talking about how similar the Caemlyn Road, like this area that they're in, is to Emmons Field and the Two Rivers. So he's like, obviously it's wider, but the dirt is the same, the trees are the same.
Oh yeah, it's that sort of dirty dirt. You know, big trees.
That's what I was thinking. I was just like, well, yeah, that's everywhere.
Yep. But there's people who haven't really seen anything else.
That's true. Yeah. Like, as far as they know, anything outside the Two Rivers could be apocalyptic sand hell and Mad Max land.
Yeah, like Beetlejuice when they go outside of the house.
Oh, God.
Sandworms everywhere.
You want any of that? No way. So he's comparing it to them, and he's also kind of like keeping track of where they are using Bran Alvere's map. Do you remember like where they got Bran Alvere's map at some point? Because they've been kind of like checking it back and forth, and I kind of put it in the back of my head, but I wasn't really paying attention to it.
Will,
But this is,
I can't say I do.
You know, I should go back and figure out where they got that map from, because it's like the narrative version of kind of keeping track of where they are, because like they look at the map and they're like, we've been here, we've been here, we've been here. So it's good, kind of like a progression meter to pay attention to. So the mission that they have right now is to get to White Bridge, which is another town that's on the Caemlyn Road, that they're hoping to get to so they can find some safety, at least.
Hoping for it, at least.
And as they're going, Lan kind of like, he volunteers himself, I think, in a way. He says he's gonna go look. He's gonna go do some hero stuff, and he's gonna go take a look at the Trolloc horde that's chasing them, because they're hearing horn blasts behind them as they're on the Caemlyn Road. And Rand is kind of like keeping a mental note of, because I think it's because of his tracking or something like that, is that it's like, oh, it's 8 miles away.
Well, I think Lan goes looking for them first, because he knows no one else is going. He's got to be the one to go.
No way.
The rest of them aren't going. They're eating cheese and bread.
I'm not going.
And so he goes, and then I believe he comes back and tells them that he sees them coming, that there's Trolloc and Fades coming. And then they start to hear the horns coming. And that's when they know for sure that bad news is hot on their tail.
And it's not like we're talking, it's not like 20 Trollocs. It's not a crowd of Trollocs that attacked them in the field. Lan says it's 3 fists full, and a fist of Trollocs is a good time.
Oh yeah, fist of Trollocs.
Oh boy, ooh, it's 100 Trollocs. So three fists,
300,
all led by 300 Trollocs, hot on the tail with 3 mirror draws, snapping whips behind him. Get going.
Yeah, it's like the comic or the movie 300, man. But instead of a bunch of chiseled warriors, Leonidas and the like, you got a bunch of like half animal things that are all deformed, and they're gonna win the day.
Absolutely. Like if they are gonna go against them, they're gonna win. There's a great part where they're kind of still talking about it, and there's this line that I pulled from the book specifically because it rhymed. I don't know if you recognize this line at all.
Lay it on me.
Okay. Moraine stopped Aldib. The others followed her lead. Tom and the Edmonds field folk looked around fearfully. I think that's the line.
Sounds like one of the Gleeman's songs.
It sounds like a Gleeman song.
Yeah.
Now, I only picked it up because I was listening to the audiobook, and the guy said it with like a lilt. Like he knew this line was coming up and he couldn't wait.
He's sitting on it, just waiting.
Yeah, he did it. Oh yeah, he did it way better than I did. I tried to practice that before we started recording. I'm gonna give it one more try again. If it's good, I'll put it back. Moraine stopped Aldib. The others followed her lead. Tom and the Edmonds field folk looked around fearfully.
There you go. I think we should put some music under that.
Yeah. We got to rap. We got to start a song now. Yep. It's called the Dead Angriels.
Ooh.
Or sorry, a band called the Dead Angriels.
I like that.
It's good. It's a good name.
So they hear the horns happen, and they're like, we got to get moving.
Yeah. So they originally they weren't going to cut through the country because the road's faster. Even Moraine says like even land in the country is going to be no match to Trollocs. But I think they decide to cut through the country just by the sheer amount of Trollocs that are on their tail and how close they are. But as they're kind of like cutting through the country, they get cornered, and this is where everything awesome happens.
Yeah, exactly. This is where. So, yeah, they're cornered. They're surrounded.
Well, it's not even that they're cornered. They're surrounded. Like they're going through the woods, and they hear horns in front of them, and they hear horns behind them, and then slowly they see the crowds kind of like form around.
The horns are getting closer and closer and coming from all different directions. until suddenly, yeah, Trollocs everywhere.
Trollocs everywhere. So Lan is like, stay with me. We're going to do this. And it's fucking game time.
Yeah, this is
And they
when
charge.
everyone goes as pretty much as berserker mode as they can.
as possible, as berserker as possible. And it's incredible. Rand, everybody has their own catchphrase for this, which is awesome.
You gotta have them. This is the time you use them.
Yeah.
Manetheren!
Lan, yeah, Manetheren, Lan screaming for the Seven Towers, which we don't know what that's about yet, but we'll get.
Sounds cool.
Matt, sounds cool. It sounds awesome. Matt is yelling gibberish.
Matt is Karai and Kalazar.
Yeah. Karai and Kalazar, Karai and Alessandra. Alessandra.
I think it's a Lady Gaga song.
It's amazing. He goes oh, and Tom is playing Barracuda on the flute. I love it.
You gotta set the mood. You need a bard, okay? I've said it before. I'll say it again.
Absolutely. Everybody goes +5 in damage and damage resistance whenever he plays Barracuda. We all know this. It's in the glossary.
Oh yeah.
So, and they start whooping ass. Like Rand, obviously the Emmons Fielders don't do amazingly, but they hold their own. You know?
Yeah, and like Lan goes after the Myrddraal.
Yeah, well, like that's kind of like that's a civic duty, right there.
I mean, again, it's like who else is gonna?
Exactly, it's sick naive on him.
Yeah, get a Gwen and your bread over there. Fucking, I don't know.
So he takes it, and it's cool how Robert Jordan kind of like sets up the scene there with the fight between the Myrddraal and Lan, because like whenever they're hitting the swords together, it sends off this giant bell ring.
Yeah.
Like gong gong.
Yeah, that's almost like the background music to the fight.
Yeah, well, with Barracuda.
Well, yeah, aside from that.
He's hitting it with the accents. Even the Myrddraal is into it. He's feeling the beat.
Yeah.
And whenever they're hitting the swords, I think whenever they hit the swords, there's like a blue like light emits. Is it from them, like the like the Myrddraal and Lan, or is it from their swords? I thought it was from their swords.
I think it was from the swords.
Right, and the blue light is like super 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 bright, so everybody pays attention to it. Then everybody gets kind of caught up into the battles. We cut to Rand, who's riding his horse, and he gets almost pulled off his horse.
He's just kind of flinging a sword around, riding his horse. Like
he doesn't know exactly.
He's trying.
Yeah, he doesn't know what the hell he's. He's got a cool sword.
He's got a great sword. It doesn't mean anything. It's not an important sword. But he's got a cool sword, and he's got a little bit of training now. So he's riding around and swinging it. He's doing okay until he falls off his horse, which... Oof.
Well, I don't think he's pulled off completely. I think he's just kind of like he's hanging on, because I remember there's a scene where he's just kind of pulling himself up while I think he's riding Cloud until he gets back onto Cloud. But at that moment where the rising tension is is heating up for Rand in the fight, all the Trollocs around the whole battlefield, they start like holding their ears, because they start screaming in pain. Like there's this high pitched fucking ringing or something like that. Just and they're all tinnitus. They're all completely incompatible. Tinnitus. They all just got tinnitus. And Tom, then like they all look at the Myrddraal, the battle between Lan and Myrddraal, and Lan, he fucking knocked that guy's head off clear.
Decapitation. Fatality.
Decapitation. And Tom says something. He says something kind of like suspicious to me. It makes me kind of like I'm kind of flip-flopping on Tom here and there. I love him, but I think there's something else. There's another story. Tom says here, it won't die till midnight.
Yeah. How does he know that? Nightfall.
How does he know that?
How does he know that?
Well, I was thinking about this. Like, he is a bard. He does a lot of traveling. He sings a lot of songs with a lot of different stories. He knows a lot about folklore in the area.
Bards would know a lot of stuff.
Bards would know, but I don't know. there's a point in the chapter here earlier on where I think it's Rand. He looks when Lan takes off to do that little scouting mission he does at the beginning of the chapter. Rand looks at Tom, and Tom is like fiddling with his mustache. He's like twirling it a little bit, and Rand thinks there's something else to this Bard guy.
Mm-hmm.
There's more to him. And I think this other scene here where he goes like, oh, he won't die until nightfall or something like that because it takes a long time for Myrddraal to die.
So he's not dead, but he's headless.
He's headless. So it takes a little while for them to.
And is that what's causing the loud, high pitched noise?
Yeah, that is because I think the Myrddraal and the Trollocs are all connected in the same way as like Lan and Moraine are, but in a different way. You know what I mean?
I took it as in a way of like how like in Game of Thrones with the White Walkers and the zombies. And
gotcha.
And I took it, maybe I took it wrong, but as like the Myrddraal are connected to the Trollocs, and a Myrddraal goes down and a chunk of Trollocs go down with it.
Yeah, I see what you mean in the Game of Thrones sense. I was just thinking of it in the way as how the magic system has already been kind of developed at this point. Because they've mentioned like the connection between Lan and Moraine, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe this is like a dark, like the other
spooky connection,
the other spooky connection, kind of represented in the same way. I mean, we've got a lot of books to cover here to really get into the idea of how this magic system works. But I was just thinking of it as this particular magic system.
Well, we shall see.
We shall see. That being said, Sasahive, Trollocs are down. Everybody's like, fucking bail.
Yeah.
Everybody says go. And they get up to a hill. They struggle out their way up the hill, kind of clearing themselves away. But they turn around and they see the passage is great, where it's the hills are blackened with the amount of Trollocs that are after them, and they see these like little towers of Myrddraal, not actual towers, but they tower over the Trollocs, and they're like yelling at them, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
And Moraine goes full Gandalf.
So this part, Moraine, this is when, she does go full Gandalf. This is when she's like, go on without me. I don't know if she says that, but she's like, hold on. And she turns around and she pulls out her Angriel, which was the power booster item that she has.
Yeah, her Triforce that she was using to like kind of help out.
Yeah, it allows her to channel more power, more of the one power. And
right.
She's way more magical with it. Uses that to basically channel Spirit Bomb.
Like in the you shall not pass way. Like she like lifts her staff in the air.
Oh yeah.
And she fucking like just stabs that ground. But what Moraine does here, like Gandalf can't hold a candle to. I mean, obviously, I think Gandalf could, but okay, I'll just get into it. The fucking earth turns into waves.
Yeah, so she does. So she rams her Angriel in one hand, staff in the other, jams her staff into the ground, and like
it's Surf City.
Terra Wave? Is that a word? It is Surf City.
Terra Wave.
Surf City, USA. Surf City,
Terra Wave
Caemlyn.
is my favorite synth pop band.
Oh yeah.
So the earth is like rippling, and it's just throwing Trollocs left, right, and center because they can't keep their balance. It's fucking earth. It's a giant earthquake. But the Myrddraal, they can navigate it.
Yeah, the Myrddraal, I guess, aren't really. They're like levitating or something. Or they're not. They need to be on the ground.
Yeah. So they get through it pretty quickly. So the group bails again, and what they do next, another amazing feat by Moraine, where they just cleared like enough passage, and then Moraine does this like she just pulls fire out of the earth, essentially, just from as far as they can see from one end to as far as they can see to the other end.
Just a wall of flames.
just a wall of flames, and that stops whatever Trollocs or Myrddraal that were coming after them dead in their tracks. And then they're like, again, bail.
Yeah.
They get to like I don't even know where they stop at. I don't think they name it or anything like that. But they get to a safe point.
It's just sort of the
Like,
first place they can like catch a breath.
Yeah, really. And they're coming up with a plan now. They don't know where to go. I think this is a point where Lan and Moraine, they go and have an argument to get with each other.
Yeah.
And everybody just kind of like hangs back and they just wait to see what the plan is.
Well, and they're all talking about what just happened too, you know.
Yeah,
and they're kind of
even
like giving each other shit about certain things, and like
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, a lot of them are not used to that situation at all.
No, obviously not. What Moraine also goes into like what Matt was screaming about when he charged, right?
Yeah, what was that nonsense?
Well, apparently, it's an old Manetheren war cry. And I have the translation here. You ready for the translation?
I'm ready.
I wonder if I should put music underneath this.
Oh, it's already ended.
Time will tell. Ooh. For the honor of the Red Eagle, for the honor of the Rose and the Sun, the Rose and the Sun.
The Rose and the Sun.
The Rose and the Sun. So that's an old Manetheren war cry, and Tom kind of like, he kind of breaks it down for Matt, and he goes like, "Look, you might have some like old blood in you. You might your lineage might go all the way back to that king and queen of Manetheren that we were that Moraine was talking about in chapter 9, I believe, or chapter 8.
Yeah, when Moraine's saying that they're all actually descended from Manetheren.
Yeah, but like I think what Tom is saying here is that he's actually descended from the royalty in some way, right? Which is that's kind of cool, actually. Like,
oh yeah,
I'm happy that it's not like Rand, because like that's another, like, we already know Rand is the main characters, but that to be like another thing that Rand is like god of, or like the hero of, you know. I like that they're spreading the heroing up in a way.
Yeah.
And setting up Matt for this kind of like Aragorn.
Well, yeah, and adding more to some of these other characters. We don't need Rand to have everything special about him. I want Matt. I want to know what's up with Matt and Perrin and Tom.
Yeah.
They're my boys.
Yeah.
And they're my girls too.
Hey, man.
Nynaeve. What's up?
This is a pretty good RPG team. Look, man, if you got a bard that can play at that skill level.
Do you think, like, I don't know if we've discussed it, but who do you think is going to die first? Like, someone's going to die, right? Like,
I was thinking about this earlier today, actually. So, if we don't get into more of Tom's history, I can see Tom going, and him being more of like the Boromir figure, like the sacrifice that kind of pushes the rest of the team forward.
But do they care about Tom?
I think they will. I think they do. Yes.
I think they'll start to, but I don't think that they care as much as, say, like Matt and Perrin and Rand and Egwene.
The other person I could see dying is maybe Moraine. And
Moraine.
Also
interesting. I could see Nynaeve going. She seems like dead weight. But I think somebody I think between Matt, Perrin, and Tom, someone's on the chopping block. I don't know if this is the type of series that's going to kill Rand off. I don't think it is.
No, I don't get that vibe whatsoever. Like it's definitely like, it almost reads like a children's book in a way. You know what I mean? Like it has this kind of safety to it. Young adult, maybe young adult's probably a better
well,
word to
so
say.
far. That's what I mean. I don't know.
So far, maybe the second half of this whole thing is actually 50 Shades of Grey and everybody's fucking each other.
Well, that's not what I'm hoping for, but we'll see. I mean, either way, I'm in it. I can't stop now. Doing this.
So they have this conversation. They talk about Matt's history a little bit, but they hear another blast and they know that the Trollocs are going to eventually get through. I think actually the blast means that the Trollocs are through the flames, like another horn blast. And after that happens, Moraine does like another like spin trick with her stick, with her staff, and she like whisks like I'm trying to think of the word, like a diversion, like a distraction into the other direction than where they're going.
Yeah, like I took it as basically she did some sort of, I don't know, she altered the trail of their scent or something like that. Like she mentioned scent.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if she added some Trolloc pheromones in there. I don't know exactly what it smelled like. But I can imagine it probably wasn't very good.
Yeah. She whisked that off into the other direction to kind of throw the scent off of them. And Lan and Moraine start taking everybody into another direction. They've appeared to agree on a location. And by the time do they come over a hill, or do they like come out of the forest and something?
Both, I believe, come out of the forest
yeah.
into where there's a hill, and Rand is going on about how it's a cliff and they're going to go off the side of a cliff and they should turn around. And
right, yeah.
Then once they get closer, they see, I mean, it's not just a cliff, but there's a whole city at the edge of that cliff, at the crest of that hill.
The city of Shadar Logoth. And that's where we end. That's the end of this chapter.
That's the end of this chapter, guys.
That's the end of the chapter. We'll talk a little bit more about the city in the next chapter we're going to be doing tomorrow. Chapter 19, Shadows Waiting. Thank you all for listening. We've been Chapter by Chapter, and we'll see you all tomorrow.